had some people in both class periods overthink in their lives. It said factor, so you should factor. The second I told Julia that, she stopped using the quadratic formula because she really wanted to. And she pulled out a GCF of 3. And then you factor what's remaining. I need something that adds to 5, multiplies to 6, so it's x plus 2, x plus 3. Why did Julia want to go straight to quadratic formula? Because that's what we learned about yesterday. Last night you had homework. What was your homework? Okay, it was to do some on the monkey, but more importantly, it was to memorize. Yeah, I need you to know that quadratic formula. You've got to know it somehow. You could get bonus if you posted a really good link or something for a song, or maybe you made your own song to the quadratic formula to help us remember it for those of us who are struggling. You must know the quadratic formula. I believe there are 3 on the test on Friday. But regardless, however many there are, it's going to say, hey, use the quadratic formula. So if Erin factors and doesn't use the quadratic formula, Erin can't get all of her points. She's got to follow directions. Okay, 1, 6, and 8. Sadly, one's pushed down on the screen. Let me see your purple handout. Okay. Were there any questions from the yellow handout yesterday? We discussed from the yellow handout that it must be, and Zach needs to write this down, so I'm going to write it down for him. It must be ax squared plus bx plus c, standard form, equal to 0. So the first thing Zach needs to do on number 6, for instance, is move that 10 over. You've got to make each of your equations equal to 0. So you have to fix number 6, number 2, number 8, number 9. Why? Because they're not equal to 0. You must first move over the other number so it can be all something, something, something equals 0. Okay. The hardest part about using the quadratic formula is remembering it and plugging the right pieces into the right slots. Yesterday we talked about the discriminant, which is that part under the radical of the quadratic formula. So if you've actually worked some of yours out, it's the thing under the house. If you get a positive number, that means you have 2 roots like usual. If you get a 0 under the house, that means you only have the 1 root. And what's really annoying is if you get a negative under the house, that means you have no real roots. Do you think there are any on this color by number where you should get a negative?
No.
Look at our answer choices.
Oh, yeah.
Why? How do you know that?
Orange is no solution.
Orange is no solution. So there should be 1. There should be 1 with a negative under the radical. Okay, so I made up a problem last period. I pretended I was using that quadratic formula and I got a negative under my radical. That would be my no solution one. Do we know the square root of a negative 49? No. We would be stuck there. That's why it would be no solution. Should Kimberly get 2 different no solutions? No, the color in my number says there's just 1. If Kimberly gets 2, what did Kimberly do wrong?
Probably made him sign.
She probably had a sign error. It was supposed to be like negative 8 squared, which should be positive 64, and she wrote negative 64. She probably has a sign error. If she asked me or a friend nicely, they would look at her paper for her. Okay, now that you've seen the monkey, I know you need time on the monkey, but does anyone have any questions about the monkey? Okay, well then let's go ahead. The monkey is due on Friday. Let's go ahead and get our project. It is not due until next Tuesday. I'm going to hand you the rubric first. So that's how I'm grading it and like what you need to do to get your A. Let's be honest. When you did those factor posters, you didn't do that good of a job. You could have done a lot better. I still graded really nicely. Even though you didn't follow directions, I'm not feeling so nice anymore. You already got my one nice shot on the 60% grade where I was way too nice. This one you've got to follow directions in order to get all of your points. So if Cruzen doesn't follow a point on the directions, she's not going to get her pre-A. What's terribly annoying is that each person has to do their project all by themselves. And you would say, how does that happen? Will you four forgive me for now? I swear I'll fix it by the end of the period. I sent to you and how will forgive me for now.
What?
You'll forgive me for now.
What are we doing?
I didn't hand you the project. Okay, so right now I gotta make more copies. I'll go do it in just a second. Let me say my words first. Okay, so everyone's given a different version. Sorry, it is what it is. I think there are 5 versions. I don't know what version I handed you. So if Zach looks at the directions, it says on that, first thing I look at when I'm giving something, I look at the rubric. Okay, Ms. Compton's looking to make sure, obviously it's math class, all my calculations are correct. She also wants to know, what does my graph look like? Did I answer all of the questions? How does my project look? Did I make a typo, a spelling error? Is it really ugly and not very neat looking? Okay, are there any questions about the rubric on the screen? Okay, and then, so you look and it says there are 3 steps. The first step is you have to decide for each bird the max height, the axis of symmetry, and the distance traveled. Zach's lucky I picked his paper. There are lots of different birds. He's got a red bird, he's got a yellow bird, he's got a blue bird. He's got some other things to deal with too, but I'm going to focus on those 3. On his yellow bird, super easy to find that axis of symmetry. Super easy to find that max height. What else did it want? The distance traveled total, super easy to find. He can find all that by looking at the graph. The blue bird, not so easy. He's actually going to have to graph that function and decide that. Red bird, also not so easy. He's actually going to have to plot those points, make a graph, and then decide where is that axis of symmetry? Where is that max height? How far did it travel? So everybody has like an easier graph like Zach's yellow, and everyone has like a harder graph like Zach's red. Okay, so apparently Zach has to figure out how far they went. He can do that. Easy. He can graph each bird's trajectory, include the pigs on the graph. He could make one giant graph with everybody on it. He can make little separate graphs. I don't really care. This is Zach's thing. Okay, but Zach has to make a graph for the red and the blue. Zach could just copy the yellow's graph. It's already given to him. He doesn't have to, he already has that graph. It's not like he has to make anything. He only has to make it for the red and the blue. Now, Zach does not draw or write that nicely. He knows his graphs are not going to be that pretty. What would be a suggestion to Zach about making graphs? Where could he go? You can go on Desmos and print those bad boys out. That would be the nicest way to do it. You could I can show you how to plot those points. It will accept points. You could plot the points. You could actually sketch that function. You could make Desmos make the graph for you. Or Zach, he really doesn't have bad handwriting, so he could do it by hand if he wanted. And then the last step, he's got to answer, like, which bird flew the highest? Was it his red, his yellow, or his blue, or his black? Which bird flew the longest? He knows the yellow flew for 18 feet. He doesn't know. He's going to have to figure out, maybe the blue flew for 20, so it flew longer. I don't know. He'll have to figure that out. Which bird hit which pig? He'll have to decide that as well. Okay, I know it sounds like there are a lot of words, but I swear it's really easy if you'll spend some time on it. But the bad news is, unless you just suddenly get everything done and you've got a vast amount of spare time in here, I'm not giving you a whole full day during class. You can work on it tomorrow after you finish your study guide. You could work on it today after you finished your monkey. Or you could work on it Friday after you finished your test. But come Monday, I'm talking about things. And it's due Tuesday. So this is mostly going to be on your own time. Now, last period, we got into a debate over that presentation column. Because, sorry, dear, I don't need yours, I have mine. That presentation column implies you have to present in front of the class, doesn't it? But if you read it, you really don't. Presentation is how are you showing it to me? So Shunty can do his usual. He can show me a poster. He can get up here and present if that's how he wants to do it on Tuesday. Because he likes, he would make a good presentation. But Jameson doesn't want to get up here and present. He might just do a nice poster. Maybe Jameson loves his tech class, so he wants to do a slideshow or something different. Since he's already on Desmos, it sure would be easy to copy and paste those graphs into something on the computer. I don't care what Jameson's presentation looks like. Well, I do care that it looks nice, but I don't care what format he picks. Okay, are there any questions about this?
No.
Then I'm not going to harp on the Angry Birds anymore, and I'm going to let you get on your monkey. I am going to go copy some birds, though.